Fox News hosts confronted Nikki Haley with a very realistic question. You're going to lose. Why are you doing this? This is Fox anchor John Roberts, who asked Nikki Haley about this. Her answer is just about as much about what she doesn't say as what she does say. But I like this. This is a good conversation to have. Take a look.
Last question, just on that whole point of South Carolina. New CBS poll shows that Donald Trump is 35 points ahead of you now. He's increased his lead. And here's a question I have. We're just a little more than a week away from South Carolina. At the moment, it looks like you're going to go into that contest and lose badly in your home state, which would forever be a cloud over your political career. Why go through with it?
So first of all, that's what they said before New Hampshire, and I got 43% of the vote.
Okay, now just on that, it is true that Nikki Haley has done better in actual elections, primaries, than in the polling, but she still hasn't won a single state. And at some point, she needs to start winning some states.
Polls do not show that. That is not what we're seeing, and we're going to close that gap. But more than that, you're asking me about my political career. That's the problem with politics. Donald Trump's worried about his image. Joe Biden's worried about his image. I'm not worried about mine. I'm worried about the future of America. I'm worried about my kids and what country they grow up in. I'm worried about your kids and what country they grow up in. This isn't personal. It's not about me or what happens to me. This is about the fact that if we don't see how bad this can get, it's already bad. If we don't become part of the solution and realize that we can change it, that's the problem. I will say again, don't complain about what happens in a general election if you don't play in this primary, because Donald Trump cannot win a general election. He's already said he's going to spend more time in court than on the campaign trail. He spent $50 million of campaign contributions.
All right. So this is a very nice answer, right? You know what, John? This is not about my legacy. If I lose my home state, then so be it. That's not how I guide myself. I do what's right, and I am here for all of the right reasons. Beautiful explanation, right? Selfless Nikki Haley running even if she will lose because it's the right thing to do. Unfortunately, it's a total fantasy. Let me give you the real interpretation. If it weren't for Trump being almost 80, declining and facing a de facto life prison sentence, she would be out already because she has no voting path to victory. The real answer here is, listen, John, I'm losing everything, even my home state. But this isn't about getting to the nomination by winning the vote. This is about being around to be the number one backup in case Trump dies, is incapacitated, or otherwise so tied up with criminal trials that he somehow quits the race or gets kicked out through mechanisms that we don't even really understand at this point. That's the real answer. Now, you will never hear that real answer from Nikki Haley. Maybe you'll hear it later, right, once this campaign is over. But that's actually what she is doing. If this were a normal primary where Trump wasn't clearly declining and almost 80 years old, and also the guy he's running against is very old and not at his peak. If this wasn't a de facto, a presumptive candidate, presumptive nominee facing 91 felony charges, who is going to be going from courthouse to courthouse, who's running out of legal money quickly, which we will get to later. If it wasn't for any of that, Nikki Haley would be out, or she would be out after next Saturday when she loses her home state. This isn't a normal primary. It's a very different situation. It's like the Seinfeld episode where Jerry hangs out with his friend who just went through a breakup. He's there for her, and he's just going to keep hanging out until he's then just there and can swoop in by virtue of circumstance. Nikki Haley wants to just be there. She's not there for the voters. She's not there for Trump. She's just there. And if something happens to Trump, she wants to be the obvious go-to, rather than getting out early and then maybe people go, well, should we go to DeSantis or should we go to, who do we go to? The longer she stays in while losing, the better position she is to be the obvious de facto runner-up if something were to happen to Donald Trump. That's the real answer. I understand why she's not using that answer. Instead, she's telling this story about not caring about the numbers and just doing what's right. Will it work? completely depends on Donald Trump. When I'm doing any kind of my work, prepping for the show, whatever it might be, I love a standing desk, an adjustable desk that can go up or down for sitting or standing. It gets the creative juices going. It's good for your health. There's really no substitute. And the one I've been using for years is the one from a company called Uplift Desk. I love it so much. We asked them to become a sponsor. I've tried multiple standing desks from different companies. Uplift Desk is the only one that I really feel is sturdy and solid when it goes up and down. You can try to shake it, put weight on it. It just doesn't wobble. Lots of other things set Uplift Desk apart as well when you shop for a standing desk. Everything is customizable. The material, the size, the color, the wheels. I have the huge one with no wheels, for example. Wire management accessories. They really offer everything. Uplift Desk has been chosen as the New York Times best standing desk for the last 4 years. They have 4.9 stars on Google. I've been a longtime customer. You will love it. I am sitting at one of these right now. I use it to record the show every day. My audience will get 5% off at upliftdesk.com/Pacman. Use the code Pacman5. The link is down below.